Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing this purple, blue, teal, ombre, total mermaid hair. And before I show you what we started with, I'm going to show you what we finished with last time, which was this purple into pink. Same deal, the ombre, she likes it off the root. You may recognize the hair from episode 21. If you need to see any more of her blonding in detail, I would watch episode 21 because we kind of do everything the same way there, except it's more the first time. So here is what we are starting with. It has that really nice light lavender, a little bit pinky tone to it, but it is going to be perfect for what I want to do today. So first things first, always going to get her prepped up with some water, a little bit misted on to open up the cuticle, and now my K18 Repair Mist. That's going to keep her hair nice and healthy through the lightening process. I always use this on my lightening guests, and I'm just going to brush that through and let it sit for 4 minutes while I mix up her lightener. So I am splitting her into 4 quadrants, and I actually started going without filming it, but we are just gonna hop right in because it is all pretty much the same up the head until we get to the very end. So I am just taking about, I would say, 1/2 inch thick sections, and then I am teasing up all of those little hairs, and I am lightening the new growth in my section on the foil using the Coup board. So I love the Coup board when I'm doing Teasy lights. You'll see it in all of my Teasy light videos because it has those little combs to hold the tease back and keeps it out of my section. So I love that. And Ashelle, my model here, my client, she has great hair for Teasy lights because she has all of these little short natural hairs that just immediately go back when I tease them. And they're super easy to comb out as long as you're teasing it correctly. So as you can see, I'm keeping her off the root, and I really like to go back and forth at the same time so that I can make sure that both of my sides are matching up. But I'm getting all those little hairs out the way. You can see it looks like it's a thick section, but it's not. It's still that 1/2 inch. It's just a lot of those little hairs getting teased up. And now I am lightening that new growth, feathering it up a little bit, and then when I comb that tease out, it's gonna blend so nice because if I'm not teasing it, just doing highlights, I'm gonna have to do some kind of a shadow root. There's gonna be a harsh line, and we don't want that. With our ombre, we want it to look flawless as her natural hair blends into the other hair. We don't want to see a line there. We want that really, really nice gradient. So that is why I love Teasy lights for something like this. It's gonna look so smooth and blended. You could even see when her hair was faded when we started, it still had that really nice blend as it came down. But I am just following this around the head, and you can also see that when I'm doing these sections, I'm pulling it forward like toward the front of her body. I'm not going in toward the back of the head, I'm moving it to the other side. So you can see how my foils are almost stacked going up in like a diagonal. That's because my sections, are being pushed toward the front to really get that gradient look. Have to remember we are doing a bold money piece on her, and I still want it to fade nicely into the rest of her hair. So even though it's a bold money piece and then it's the ombre, I want it to have that gradient diagonal back to where it's not just like a line around the middle of her head. So this is the best way that we are going to achieve it. You can see that with every section I take, I'm going a little bit more toward her face on the other side, not toward the back of the head, pulling all those sections the opposite way. And then coloring all that new growth with the lightener and closing it up. Staying off the root, and I'm going side to side so that I know that I'm matching my sections up. I really like to do it this way. I don't recommend doing like the entire left side and then the entire right side. I like to go a couple on each side so that I can really make sure to match them up. So once I reach the top of the head and I'm left with this last triangle, that's when I pull everything into one section and then do those straight back and make sure that I'm not lightening too high. Then after I do these few foils in this triangle section, we are done with the back. And like I said, I also have her hair in episode 21, and it shows a little bit more footage of the lightening process. If you need something more in depth, I would check out that one. I'm also using Danger Jones powder lightener as usual. I started with a 10 volume developer, and then with every new bowl, I raise my developer a little bit. So I started with a 10 and then I used a 15, and then at the end I had a 20. So you will see that when we did her hair this time, I guess something from the last color that we used, maybe from like a color conditioner she had. I wasn't sure what it was, but something red showed up in her natural virgin hair. So that was interesting, and I had to go through and like re-tap all of the foils, not all of them, but a good amount of them. So you will see that too, but right now we are going to move to the front, and this is going to be her bold face frame. So just like I said, it's also in episode 21, did the exact same placement. And right here, I'm going really nice thin highlights all the way up, but I'm teasing out those little baby hairs. And these are going to be right up to her face. We want that really nice face frame. And then once it moves back a little bit, then we'll be able to do the other part that is more with the gradient ombre right here. You can see the teases are getting bigger, staying off the root a little bit more, and hitting that new growth. So you can see I'm going in that diagonal still where the lightener was a little closer to the front of her face so that everything can blend really nicely. You can see all those baby hairs just go right up, and then we have that beautiful virgin hair ready to go. I'm also taking slightly smaller sections over here than I was in the back. On those first face frame ones, those are really tiny, like baby light sections. But these back here, as I go up the front of her head over here, I'm making my sections a little bit bigger with every section, and then I'll get back to that 1/2 inch, same as the back. But I really am trying to stay in that same gradient pattern, making sure that everything matches up. So I am just going to speed this part up because, as you can see, I stood right in front of the camera as I did all of those face frame foils. But like I said, episode 21 is great. It really shows all of the sections on this exact same person, and I'm doing it the exact same way. Now I moved out of the way a little bit. We can get back to business. Here are our Teasy lights, and taking those slight diagonal sections, making my way up the head and only lightening her virgin regrowth. You can see that nice diagonal, comb all those little hairs out, and then using my coup board. And I'm really staying in that like circular diagonal line to try to make sure that everything is going to blend together really nicely. And now moving on to the other side, and I'm going to be doing the exact same thing over here, starting with some really small little highlights, just teasing a little bit of hair up, you can see. And then I'm still going almost all the way to the root, minus that little bit of teased hair that's right there. So these sections are a lot smaller than the ones in the back and on top. I did not stand in front of the camera on this one. Now we'll take another small section here And then I use my comb to just comb those little baby hairs out. And then I have my comb there. You can see it's holding the teased hair up. I did a terrible job standing in front of the camera on this one. I'm so glad that I have her lightening placement in another video because I apologize, you guys. But I think we get the idea. It's pretty easy, very simple placement. As long as you're teasing correctly, then it should be beautiful and you won't have that harsh line. So you can see there, combing up those baby hairs. It's a lot different than the ones that I do in the back that are the big sections, because these are just little baby hairs that I'm teasing up and I'm not taking that big like pillow of a tease. So like I was saying, as I move away from this money piece, my sections and my teases will get bigger and the distance away from her scalp where the lightener is will get longer. But you can see I just have those little baby hairs here, and we're just taking these nice thin highlights because we really want that nice bold money piece. Now there is a better view of the top of her money piece foiling coming, so at least we have that. But we've got this section here. I'm doing the exact same thing. You can see that my teases once again are getting a little bigger as I'm going up. I'm still pulling that section forward just like I did in the back because it's going to help me with that gradient. And covering it up, not folding my foils. Here is that front piece. You can see just how thin my sections are. Tiny, tiny little baby light right around the face. And I don't know what my deal is with standing in front of the camera, but there's the section there, really nice and thin, only getting that new growth. These sections, you really have to make sure that they're so thin and right to the scalp because you don't want those ones to be choppy or anything. Like we're not doing shadow roots. Like this has to be a perfect highlight the first time. So we are going back to our teases now, covering all that new growth. And then those sections and those teases are getting a little bit bigger each time. And by this point, I'm definitely using the 20 volume developer with my Danger Jones lightener. I really love doing that on all of my big blonding projects because then I know that everything is still kind of processing together and it just makes me feel better about it. But as you can see, I'm kind of making my way up, doing a money piece, then doing more teases so that all of my sections kind of go in that nice circle together. And as I'm making my way up, I'm also double checking on the other side just to make sure that everything looks like it matches up because you don't want to have one side higher than the other for sure. So really pay attention to your foils on the opposite side, just like you did in the back. But now we are done and I am putting her little plastic bib on and let's mix up our color. So once again, using Danger Jones semi-permanent color. This is going to be my purple formula and it is 40 grams of Masquerade with 20 grams of Hysteria. Then I'm going to be making my blue. This will be a small bowl because it's just going to be a little mixer and it's 20 grams of Solitude with 5 grams of Masquerade. I love adding a little purple into my true blues so that I know it's not going to go teal and then I'll really get that nice blue tone. But there's my teal, 30 grams of Oblivion and 5 grams of Adrenaline. So this is what I talked about earlier. I started to pull her foils in the back as I normally do. And I noticed that the top where her virgin hair was super red. So that was a little confusing to me. I mean, it could have been like a colored conditioner at home, maybe something hormonal, who knows? But I just kind of went through and tapped those again with some fresh lightener and then they lifted beautifully. So those hairs by the front of the face that I was taking out, I always take those out first too because they always process first. But let's get into our ombre. So I am melting the purple using that blue as a little separator in the middle and then melting down into the teal. So it's gonna go purple, little line of blue, and then teal. So the only reason I'm really using that blue is so we don't get anything muddy between the purple and the teal. So they are still close to each other, but I just really like to have that blue there to really act as like a little mesh for the colors to go together. And then we just get another third little color that's gonna almost look like a shine line. So we are rubbing in that blue, really massaging those sections together, and then doing our teal. Now, one thing that is super nice about an ombre like this and not having to color the root is that I can take a lot larger sections. So my sections are probably about 1 inch thick. You don't have to worry about covering the root. It's so much easier to take bigger sections and not have to worry about saturation. But I am just following this same pattern through her whole head. The only place that it will be different is her money pieces because those are just going to be purple. But you really want to blend those colors together. Also, this video was in December, as you can see by the Christmas tree behind me, and we both were loving that her hair was basically the same color as all the ornaments on my Christmas tree. We had the purple, the blue, the teal. It was perfect. So she basically was just like, let me have your Christmas tree colors. I also forgot to film it, but I added in my B3 Brazilian Bond Builder into my semi-permanent color bowls. I love B3. It's basically very similar to Olaplex. A lot of people know Olaplex, so I like to compare it to that because they're both bond builders. But unlike Olaplex, it doesn't dull your developer if you add it to Lightener, and it's really great to add in with your semi-permanent colors because it helps with longevity and it strengthens the hair. So you're basically getting a treatment while you're putting the color in. So that is awesome. But I think the rest of this is pretty self-explanatory. I just want you to make sure you're taking really nice combed through clean sections. Don't rush yourself, and saturation is key. When you're highlighting, when you're lightening, when you're coloring, when you're doing all of it, just make sure that you are saturating and you will have great results. And blending, saturating and blending. But I really love how the little blue shine line kind of turned out that goes in between the purple and the teal. I'm really glad that we added that in there. But now just moving to the front and getting around her face. And then I love my little desk that I have. It fits perfectly in my chair. So she's on her laptop and my clients can work while they get their hair done. And I went in and measured my chair and found the perfect little desk that I could bring in. And it seriously was the best buy ever. So if you are a stylist and you have a salon chair, measure it and get yourself a little lap desk to give to your clients because it comes in so handy. It is so clutch. I use it when they want to eat food, when they want to use their laptop. I mean, it comes in handy for so many different things. So get yourself a little lap desk for your chair. But as you can see, we're doing the exact same thing up front. I'm getting my purple in and really, really saturating, moving it around, getting it down to that mid shaft. I always check my back also just to make sure that everything lines up, blending in that blue in the middle and then down to my teal. And that is pretty much it. You can see that I left her little money piece bangs out there, her little curtain bangs, because I want to color those just purple and I don't want the blue or teal to be on it. So I'm just getting those all by themselves and really saturating. So that is pretty much it. You can watch me do the rest of this, but in the meantime, I'll just explain how I finished her off. So with this color, I let her process for 25 minutes. Then I rinsed her out using only ice cold water. You really want to do ice cold. I know it sucks, but it will be worth it. But I rinsed her out with that. No conditioner, no nothing, just the ice cold water rinse. And then once I brought her back to the chair, I used the K18 Mask. And then that sits for 4 minutes before you can add any other product, which then I finished her off with the K18 HeatBounce and Volumizing Spray and the Leaf and Flower 7-minute Blowout and Frizz Remedy Spray. And then I used the K18 Oil before I heat styled her. And here is our beautiful Mermaid Ombré. You can see how that blue just looks like a shine line. Oh, I am obsessed. It's like glowing. And then this is what it looks like without the butterfly clips, just so you can see how gorgeous that blend is as it goes from her natural hair to the purple. Then we've got those beautiful bright money pieces. Everything looks so connected and gradient while still giving her that ombre look. I am in love. It's so beautiful on her. But thank you everyone for joining me for another tutorial. Please like and subscribe for free education every single Monday, and I'll see you next week. Bye.